Uncle Garland was, uh, what's the word? I don't know. Spoofing, riffing on my old organization, Solidarity, socialist feminist organization. Yeah, I joined that in 1995. How old was I in 1995? I was like, somewhere in my mid 20s, I guess, whatever, youth. Um, and I actually more or less stayed in there until about 2010 when, they basically, I don't know, it gets really complicated. It would take, more than an hour to explain it all. You in any organization, right? You have different tendencies. Well, we had one tendency which was basically more orthodox Trotskyist. It's like PSOL in Brazil. I was looking them up. They become like 10 different flavors of social democrat to Marxist Leninist. And it's sort of like that. Syncretic American, post-Soviet collapse. People don't really have an identity. I mean, if you wanted to be in a more consistent, say, Bolshevik Leninist or Trotskyist organization, a sect, really, small sect, you could go to socialist, or what is it, socialist alternative, or I think they call themselves, well, Kashama Sawant's group, I believe it is, if they haven't split again, but and then I guess there's a couple other flavors, maybe. I don't know. I can't keep track of it all. But when I joined Solidarity in 1995, yeah, I was in Chicago, and it was mostly the Socialist Unity Caucus of the former Socialist Workers' Party. And, the Socialist Workers' Party up until, I don't know, what year you want to call it at, 1970 some odd, was relatively real. I mean, Peter Camejo, if you're voting for Grandma Pickles, Jill Stein, before Grandma Pickles there was Peter Camejo, and I think was he running as a, I don't know, he was involved with, like Greens for Independence, and, kind of nasty and sectarian, but he did run for president as candidate of Socialist Workers Party. Died of cancers, a number of years ago. But many of the most the better Greens were around him. And so what happened? What else to say? But, there were signs also in Solidarity. We had this stroke, Travis. I think he was some sort of organizer with the group. And I remember we had this kind of, debate over really nothing. But I think, what was his name? Kazan, the stroke that directed On the Waterfront, who was basically a rat, for McCarthy. He was set to receive an award, and then others of us, were with harder left, such as it was, in basically the Stalinists in protesting against that, and basically upheld a line throughout the organization against, this theory, the theory of the revolution in stages as applied to struggles in Indonesia. The anti-Nike campaign, whatever. I guess, yeah, there was a group of us who wanted to bring the organization more under, consistently Marxist, less, identity politics, less, feelings wanks, politics, that organization also had what you could call right-wing Shachtmanites. That was the majority of the organization, actually. It was like the IS Current, which became the ISO in the US, and the SWP in England, the Cliffites in England. In the US, you had people who went on to found labor notes. The basically what those who broke from the Socialist Workers Party, and among them there were two schools of thought in the 70s. They were labor militants in places like Detroit, and they had different fractions. Like auto was a central one, and so they were in Detroit, and they were saying, well, can you or can't you work with the local labor bureaucracy, the stewards, or become a steward, become in a union on the shop floor, or even work whatever tactically, let's say, and then it became strategically, but tactically at least with local union presidents. I didn't disagree with them as far as their labor politics went, I suppose. And I was, I even got a job at UPS for a couple of years, and that was very unusual. But I didn't want to become some sort of staff hack type. And like in that organization, I came into conflict in the end with most of those people because the main current in that organization, because I didn't want to be 27 gender liberal NGO hack, and I just had an allergy to kind of identity politics. Basically, it was, I got to take this call, and